Discover the incredible transformation of this grandma. A heartwarming tale of overcoming trauma. The warm smell of freshly baked bread wafted through Maplewood every morning, wrapping the town in comfort like a much-loved quilt. In the center stood Edna's little bakery, an aromatic sanctuary and a slice of history bequeathed from her parents. This bakery wasn't just flour and sugar. It was her family's legacy, steeped in love, hard work, and the bittersweet memories of forgiveness yet to come. But beneath her cheerful demeanor, Edna carried a heavy heart, burdened by years of estrangement from her daughter, Alice. The sweet laughter they once shared felt like a distant echo now, replaced by painful silences that cut deeper than any knife. As Maplewood slipped further into economic decline, Edna could feel the town's spirit waning. The annual Harvest Festival breathed hope into the cool air, a flicker of light in her otherwise dim world. This was her chance to revive her bakery, to reconnect with Alice. Yet doubt loomed like dark clouds. "You're just a grandma," they said. "Just a faded memory in a town that forgot who she was." Maybe I can make some apple pies, Edna thought, the warmth of her ovens igniting not just the kitchen but her resolve. Inviting Alice to join her in the kitchen felt like an impossible dream. But just before reaching out, unbearable memories resurfaced. They fought, hearts exposed, years of hurt emerging in their heated words. "You left me," Edna cried, the tears carving paths on her cheeks. Alice turned away, her back a stark reminder of everything unsaid. With the clock ticking down to the festival, Edna's heart ached but a fire sparked within. "I will show them," she whispered, dusting her apron as she gathered the loyal patrons who thrived on her famous recipes. Together they mixed dough like the friends and family they used to be. It wasn't just about the ingredients, it was about community. Yet, in the midst of her efforts, betrayal came from the most unexpected corner. One of her supposed allies was backstabbing her. Doubts surged. Would her bakery survive? Would she ever mend her relationship with Alice? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Edna minced apples and rolled crusts, a desperate note slipped through her fingers. It was from an old friend, urging her to rise above the hurt. "Fight for your family, Edna," it read. The words lit a spark, igniting her spirit. She prepared her booth for the festival, hope glowing like the golden crust of her pies. Despite the weight of uncertainty that pressed heavily against her chest, Edna could feel that she was on the brink of something transformative. But in a town that had all but forgotten her, was she strong enough to embrace the love she once lost? The air buzzed with anticipation, a question lingering over the festival. Would Edna's journey of resilience lead her to the dreams she once held dear, or would she crumble under the pressures of the past? As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over Maplewood, Edna felt a surge of determination. The festival was just around the corner, and she knew that every pie she baked held her hopes, her regrets, and most importantly, her love for Alice. She had to get it right this time. The night before the festival, Edna was alone in her bakery, the rhythmic hum of the mixer filling the otherwise silent room. Each slice of apple she prepared felt like a step toward mending the shattered pieces of her heart. She pictured Alice's face, lit with delight as she used to be when they created magic together in this very kitchen. "Come back to me, sweetheart," she murmured to the empty space, her voice trembling. The weight of her unspoken apologies and the longing for connection hung thick in the air. The next morning arrived with excitement crackling through the town. Edna was up before dawn, her hands working methodically as she filled her booth with bright trays of pies, each glazed and beckoning. But as she stepped outside, her heart raced not just with anticipation but with fear. The streets were alive with laughter, families gathering and children darting about. The familiar bustle of the Harvest Festival was overwhelming. "Edna," called out Margaret, one of her closest friends, her arms laden with colorful flowers for her booth. "These look incredible. Your pies will be the highlight of the festival." Edna smiled weakly, trying to absorb the support. "Thank you, Margaret. I hope so." The festival unfolded, and Edna watched with a mix of joy and trepidation as patrons flocked to her booth. Each smile and compliment served as a balm for her worried heart. But then, as she caught sight of a familiar figure in the crowd, her stomach twisted. It was Alice. She stood at a distance, hesitant and unsure, as memories of their heated arguments flooded Edna's mind. Each step Alice took felt monumental, echoing with all the past pain between them. Edna's heart raced, her hands trembling now, the weight of thrown words and broken dreams pressing down upon them both like lead. "Edna, your pies are amazing," a woman exclaimed, pulling Edna's attention back. For a moment she basked in the compliments, but her gaze kept flickering back to Alice. This was it. This was the moment for her to extend the olive branch. But fear gripped her, tightening around her chest like a vice. Taking a deep breath, she decided to simply let the pies speak. She scooped up a slice of her famous apple pie, the aroma still warm, and approached Alice with tentative steps. The crowd's chatter faded into a dull roar as she drew closer. "Alice," she started, her voice suddenly hoarse. Alice looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes, mingled with caution. The word seemed heavy, like a fragile truce waiting to be forged or broken. Edna's heart ached with vulnerability, but she pressed on, holding out the slice of pie. "I made this for you. It's your favorite." The crowd around them seemed to still, holding its breath, waiting for the next act in this delicate dance between mother and daughter. Would Alice accept the pie? Would she accept Edna? Caught in that moment, a spark of hope ignited in Edna's chest. Yet uncertainty loomed as she realized this was only the beginning of a long journey. Would they find their way back to each other? As Alice reached out slowly, their fingers almost brushing, Edna's heart raced with a blend of fear and excitement. Would pie be enough to bridge the years of hurt? The answer hung in the air, waiting to be revealed. Alice's hand paused mid-air, hovering just inches from the slice of pie as if it were a fragile thing. Edna held her breath, unsure of what would come next. Those seconds felt like an eternity, and the world around them faded away, the joy of the festival muted by the tension between them. "Mom!" Alice's voice cracked, revealing a flash of the pain that had lingered in their relationship. Edna's heart ached at the sound. I know things haven't been easy for us," Edna said softly, the mixture of love and regret thick in her voice. "But I don't want us to be apart anymore. I miss you." As if the words themselves had a power, Alice's fingers finally moved. She reached out and gently took the slice from Edna's hand. Their fingers brushed together, and both felt the warmth of an unspoken connection. The crowd around them burst into a low murmur, a mix of surprise and support. Edna watched as Alice brought the slice to her lips, taking a tentative bite. The expression on her daughter's face shifted, first to uncertainty, then to something resembling nostalgia. The memories of countless summers spent baking in this very bakery flooded Edna's mind, each one a reminder of the bond they once shared. "Wow," Alice said, a small smile cracking through her initial hesitation. "Just like I remember." "Just like old times," Edna whispered, hope blooming in her chest, warming her soul. But just as quickly as the warmth surged, a shadow flickered across Alice's expression. "But it's been such a long time, Mom. I don't know if we can just go back to how things were." Edna's heart sank at her daughter's words. She was right. Retracing footsteps wouldn't fix broken things. "No, we can't just go back. But we can try to use this as a start. Please let us talk. I don't want to lose you again." Alice hesitated, her searching gaze scanning Edna's face. Each minute face to face seemed like a battle, their histories swirling thick in a soup of emotions. The festival buzzed around them, laughter and music vibrant in the background, but in this moment, it felt like they stood on their own little island. "What if we tried together?" Edna suggested, her voice steady despite how unsteady she felt. "I can't promise everything will change overnight, but I'm willing to try for us." Finally, Alice nodded, a flicker of resolve sparking in her eyes. "Okay, but we have to be honest with each other." Edna felt a mix of relief and joy wash over her. "Of course," she replied, unable to hide the smile spreading across her face. "No more hiding, just honesty." Just then, Margaret appeared at the edge of their conversation, her eyes wide with hope. "Did I just see what I think I saw?" "Edna, you two are talking." Alice blushed slightly, looking to the ground, while Edna chuckled lightly, her heart feeling a little lighter. "We're trying, Margarita. We're trying." As they wrapped up the moments shared, Alice turned to Edna with a half-smile. "Maybe we could bake together again someday?" The glimmer of possibility sparked within Edna. "Absolutely. I'd love that." And just like that, the first cracks in their wall began to show. Edna felt the promise of repair as Alice took another bite of pie, laughter dancing within the bounds of their lingering doubts. But as they began to regroup with Margaret, another figure caught Edna's eye. A man, tall and somewhat familiar, loomed at the edge of the festival. The tension clenched in her gut. Why was he here? The nerves coiled tightly within her. "Edna?" Alice asked, noticing her mother's sudden stillness. "What's wrong?" Edna swallowed hard, feeling the past creeping back in. She knew that the journey to mend broken ties might just be beginning. And with one glance at the man on the fringe, she realized it could get even more complicated. "Let us just breathe," she murmured, turning back to Alice. Yet the fear clung to her, whispering that they weren't safe just yet. What would he bring back into their lives? Edna's heart raced as the tall man stepped closer. His presence felt like a thundercloud in an otherwise clear sky. Memories, both tender and painful, surged within her. She remembered the laughter, the shared moments, and the heartbreak that seemed to unravel everything. It had been years since she'd seen him. "Mom, who is that?" Alice's voice cut through Edna's swirling thoughts, an edge of fear lingering behind the question. Edna forced herself to meet Alice's eyes, filled with concern. "It's your father." Just saying it felt like a jagged rock lodged in her throat. Alice's expression shifted, emotions churning behind her wide eyes. "Why is he here? I thought he was done with us." The crowd around them seemed to fall away, the distant laughter and music fading into an echo. Edna had always tried to protect Alice from the pain of their past, but now, standing side by side with her daughter, the truth was laid bare. "Alice, I don't know, I thought he'd move on too," Edna replied, struggling to keep her voice steady. "But clearly he hasn't." The man paused at a distance, uncertainty etched on his face as he looked between them, gauging the mood. Edna felt anger rising in her chest. He had abandoned them once and now he was just back. "Stay here, okay?" she said briskly to Alice. "I'll talk to him." Alice nodded, her lips pressing into a thin line. "I don't want you to. What if he tries to hurt you again?" "He won't," Edna insisted, though a shadow of doubt flitted across her mind. "But I need to confront this for both of us." Taking a deep breath, Edna forced her legs to move forward. Each step felt heavier, like wading through mud. The closer she got to him, the more the memories flooded in. Arguments, tears, the day he left, all played like a film reel behind her eyes. "Edna," he said, his voice a low rumble, heavy with regret. "I didn't expect to see you here." His tone felt almost casual, like they were meeting up for coffee, not facing years of hurt. "Neither did I," she replied, sharp as ice. "What do you want?" He shifted uncomfortably before replying. "I know I don't deserve it, but I want to talk. About everything, about our daughter." That caught her off guard. "You think you can just waltz back in and act like nothing happened? You left us. You chose to walk away." He flinched, pain flashing in his eyes. "I know I messed up. I've tried to get better. I want to be part of Alice's life again. 15 years too late for that, don't you think?" Edna snapped, although the softness in her heart battled against her anger. Could he really be different now? She glanced back at Alice, who stood watching, arms crossed tightly. The sight of her daughter's vulnerability brought a rush of tenderness, and Edna felt the weight of their shared struggles. "Please," he pleaded, his voice softening. "I just want a chance to explain. I want to be there for her. She deserves that." Edna's heart trembled at his words, a flicker of hope battling against years of disappointment. Was this the moment for change? Or was it just another false promise? What if he hurts us again? Alice's voice trembled, pulling Edna back to reality. The conflict roared inside Edna. Could she trust him? Could they allow themselves to take that leap again? "I can't promise you anything," she replied finally, turning to face her ex-husband. "But if we're going to do this, it has to be different this time." As the words escaped her lips, Edna felt the weight of an open door, a chance for reconciliation that had once seemed impossible. Yet as Alice moved hesitantly towards them, Edna prayed they weren't walking into a trap. Maybe it's time to discover who you really are now, she warned him, eyes narrowing. But could forgiveness ever truly bloom where it had once been choked by pain? With another glance at Alice, the air thick with anticipation, Edna knew the journey to healing was just beginning. Would they find a way? Or would the past come crashing down once more? Edna stood frozen, her words hanging in the air between them. The moment felt charged, like electricity crackling before a storm. She could see the hope in her ex-husband's eyes, the man who had once brought so much joy and in turn such heartbreak. But the years had not been kind, and every hurt resurfaced as she stared at the face she once loved. "Alice!" she called out, her voice breaking slightly. "Stay close." Her daughter stepped forward, uncertainty written all over her face. The crowd parted for them as if sensing the intensity of the situation. Voices around them faded into background noise, and Edna felt the world shrink to the three of them, him and Alice. Can we just stand somewhere quiet?" he asked, his tone softer now, almost pleading. "Please, Edna." Edna glanced at Alice, who looked torn between following her instinct to protect and the curiosity of understanding the man who brought her into this world. Edna's heart tugged painfully, caught between her daughter's need for safety and the flicker of hope trying to push through the thicket of distrust. "Fine," she finally said, her voice steadying. But only for a few minutes. They stepped away from the party, moving toward a quieter corner of the park. The sounds of laughter dulled, and it felt almost like stepping into a different world, a place untouched by pain, even if just for a moment. "I'm sorry," he began as they found an empty bench. "I was a coward. I ran when I should have stayed." Edna clenched her jaw, remembering the nights she cried herself to sleep, the empty space beside her. "You were a parent, not just a man. You were supposed to protect us." "I know." He rubbed the back of his neck, an old habit she recognized. "I messed up. I wish I could take it all back. I know I can't, but I want the chance to be there for Alice. Can we start over somehow?" The sincerity in his eyes caught her off guard. All those years she'd painted him as the villain, but now he felt more like the man she once knew. It was too easy to forget how their laughter once filled their home, how love had been their foundation before it crumbled. "Alice deserves stability, a father who is around," she answered carefully, searching for the right words. "But I don't want to drag her into another situation that will only hurt her more." "I wouldn't do that. Promise." His voice trembled with emotion. "I want you both in my life. I've been in therapy trying to mend the pieces of myself. I've learned so much." From behind them, Alice was watching, her expression a mix of skepticism and hope. Edna could see her daughter's heart tugged in two directions. Edna felt strangely vulnerable. Here they were, a family disfigured by the past, standing at the edge of a new chapter. "Mom, is it okay?" Alice asked quietly, her voice barely a whisper. "Can I trust him?" Edna found herself caught in the gaze of both her daughter and her ex-husband. She had fought hard to keep them safe, to be the shield. But was it time to let go, to let them explore this? I can't make any promises," Edna replied carefully, her heart racing. "But if we try this, it has to be all three of us. We need to be open, honest, and patient with each other. What if he changes his mind again?" Alice's question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. "I want tea," he vowed, his voice steady. "I've changed. I want this." Edna's heart thudded in her chest. Would this be their chance to heal, or was she about to open a wound that would never close? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, an emergency text from her friend. Her heart sank as she realized it was about something crucial she couldn't ignore. As she glanced at Alice, then back at her ex-husband, Edna felt the weight of the decision looming like a rain cloud. Could they really start anew? Or was she merely holding on to a fleeting dream? "Let us talk more," she said finally, feeling a mix of fear and hope. "But not here. Not now." As they walked back towards the noise, Edna wondered if they could truly rebuild the life they once envisioned. And what awaited her in that text? Edna's heart raced as they rejoined the party, the noise flooding back in like a tidal wave. Laughter and chatter filled the air, mingling with the sounds of children playing. It was a celebration, but for her the joy felt distant. Alice clung to her, uncertain and searching her mother's face for reassurance. "Mom?" Alice's voice was edged with concern. "Are you okay?" Edna forced a smile, knowing her daughter was picking up on her unease. I'm fine, sweetie, just processing things. Her ex-husband hovered nearby, a shadow of longing trailing behind him. He had appeared so vulnerable a moment ago, yet now he seemed like an awkward stranger again. Edna couldn't shake the feeling that the crowded party was a false facade, a sanctuary that could be shattered with one wrong move. Across the lawn, she spotted Lucy, her close friend, waving. Edna excused herself and moved towards her. The vibrant colors of the streamers swaying in the breeze contrasted sharply with her swirling thoughts. "Hey you!" Lucy greeted, her smile bright but fading as she noticed the tension on Edna's face. "What's going on? You look like you just saw a ghost." Edna hesitated, the weight of her choice hanging heavily on her shoulders. "It's complicated. Zach is back." "Zach?" Lucy raised an eyebrow. "The Zach? Your ex?" The shock in her friend's voice echoed Edna's own chaotic mind. "Yes, and he wants to be part of Alice's life again. He says he has changed." Lucy looked thoughtful for a moment before speaking. "And you believe him?" "I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to. Part of me thinks this could be good for Alice or a potential recipe for disaster." Lucy's voice was steady, the kind of real talk Edna needed. "You've worked hard to create a safe space for her. Are you willing to risk that?" Edna bit her lip. She wanted to scream, to unleash the swirling confusion inside her. "I understand that. But seeing him, it reminds me of everything we once had, of the family we used to be." Lucy tilted her head, her eyes warm with understanding. "But remember why you're apart. You fought hard for this." As Edna studied her friend's face, a flicker of clarity surged within her. This was about more than Zach. It was about Alice, her well-being, and what kind of future they would share moving forward. "Maybe we can try," Edna said slowly, her voice stronger. "But on my terms. Alice's safety comes first. I won't let past mistakes dictate our future." Lucy nodded, her expression approving. "That's the spirit. Just make sure you're both up for it. Talk to Alice about it. An open dialogue is crucial." Edna felt a wave of relief wash over her. They turned back to the party, the bright atmosphere buzzing around them. Just then Alice approached, her eyes full of questions. "Is everything okay?" she asked, worry knitting her brow. Edna knelt down, looking her daughter in the eye. "I need you to be honest with me, sweetheart. How do you feel about your dad being back?" Alice bit her lip, glancing at Zach, who stood a little ways off, a tense smile plastered on his face. "I don't know, Mom. I want to meet him, but I'm scared." Edna felt the weight of her daughter's words buried deep in her heart. "I get that, Alice. It's important we're on the same page, together as a family. Will he really stick around this time?" Alice asked, her voice small. "I'm hopeful," Edna replied, though uncertainty lingered. "But hope isn't a promise." All of a sudden, a loud crash broke through the air. A nearby table had toppled over, drinks and plates scrambling across the grass. The abruptness felt like a harsh awakening. Edna turned her attention back to the chaos, her heart racing with apprehension as Edna moved to help clear the mess. She wondered if the chaos was a bad omen or merely a part of the process of moving forward together. The lines between their past and potential future began to blur again. Would this time be different? Or would the cycles repeat? And as laughter bubbled back to the surface, Edna couldn't shake the feeling that their healing journey was just beginning right when the past was clawing back in. Edna took a deep breath and waded into the chaos, helping to pick up the scattered plates and drinks. Laughter resumed around her, but she felt enveloped by an invisible storm of uncertainty. Glancing at Zach, she considered how he could still affect her life, even in such a crowded setting. She thought she had put an impenetrable wall around her heart, yet here it was, trembling at the sight of him. "Let us just get through today," she whispered to herself, brushing away a stray hair that had fallen loose. Alice's hand found hers, a squeeze of reassurance. Edna turned and smiled at her, hoping to convey some semblance of calm. "Are you okay, Mom?" Alice asked again, her big brown eyes wide with concern as they moved together to help clean up. "I'm fine, honey," Edna said, sounding perhaps a bit too cheerful. "Just thinking about how messy things can get at a party, huh?" Alice giggled, the innocent laughter lighting up Edna's heart. "Like all the spilled juice. Gross." They both chuckled, and for a moment, the burdens of the day lifted. But as they made their way back to the party's center, Edna caught sight of Zach mixing with other guests, laughter spilling freely from his lips. The sight sent a wave of nostalgia crashing over her. She recalled the way they used to share jokes, the easy back and forth until everything unraveled. "Hey look!" Alice exclaimed, pulling Edna's hand. "Can we go on the swings?" Before Edna could respond, Alice darted off toward the set of swings about 10 yards away. Edna watched her daughter's small figure sprinting away, feeling a twinge of guilt for her own anxieties. It wasn't fair for Alice to carry the weight of their past, especially not today. "Edna!" Zach's voice cut through her thoughts, pulling her back to the present. She turned to him, her heart pounded like a drum. "Hey Zach, do you mind if I join you both on the swings?" he asked, scratching the back of his neck, his smile a nervous one. Edna hesitated. Alice was already on the swing, giggling as she pumped her legs higher and higher. This was a fleeting moment of joy, yet Edna also saw it as a chance for softening scars. She nodded slowly. "Sure, I guess that's okay." Zach approached carefully, settling himself on the swing next to Alice. "Wow, I used to love these," he said, his voice light, echoing the sentiment of days long past. "Can you swing higher than me?" Alice challenged playfully, her bravado showing as she instinctively pushed harder. Edna watched as Zach joined in the playful banter, his easy laugh breaking through her defenses. The innocence in Alice's joy halted Edna's worry at least for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, this could be okay. They were all together, sharing laughter, even if it felt like a fragile truce. "Higher! Higher!" Alice cheered, her small voice cutting through Edna's swirling thoughts. In that moment, Edna wanted nothing more than to believe this new chapter could be different. If Zach really had changed, perhaps the three of them could find a way to connect as a family once more. But the nagging questions settled back in. Would this joy last? Did changes happen truly and deeply? And even if he had changed, could she let herself trust him again? As thoughts churned, a storm brewed in the distance, thunder rumbling softly. Edna felt the tension rising again. Right as Zach met her gaze, a flicker of vulnerability standing between them. "Can we talk?" he asked, sincerity radiating from his voice. Edna hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on her. She glanced at Alice, who was lost in laughter, oblivious. Could she really take that step? Or would it pull her back into familiar pain? As she weighed her options, a stray gust of wind swept through the party, rustling the decorations. In that instant, Edna realized the choice rested in her hands, and it was time to find out whether healing could truly begin. But could they actually move forward together? Or was this just another step into familiar uncertainty? The moment stretched, clinging to Edna as tightly as the wind grabbed the colorful streamers overhead. She could feel the weight of Zach's gaze, stirring up old memories that seemed to flicker like candlelight, illuminating the darker corners of her heart. "Edna," he said softly, "I know things have been complicated between us." A rush of emotion slammed into her, but she nodded, wanting to hear more. The world around them faded for a moment. It was just them in the swirl of chaos, holding on to their fragile peace. "Before you say anything," he continued, "I just want you to know I've changed. I've worked hard on myself." His words surged with urgency. "I realize now what I put you through. I want to make things right for you and for Alice." Edna's breath hitched. She had longed to hear those words, but now that they hung in the air, a coat of skepticism layered over her heart. Could someone like Zach really change? And if so, could she afford to believe him again? "Mom!" Alice's voice disrupted the moment, pulling Edna back to reality. The little girl raced toward her, breathless with excitement. "Can we go to the slide next? It's so tall." Zach smiled at Alice, a genuine warmth spreading across his features, and Edna caught a glimpse of the man she once loved, the one she hoped still existed beneath the hurt. "Of course, how about I race you to the slide?" he proposed, and before Edna could answer, he was off, sprinting after Alice, their laughter intertwining in the air. Edna followed, still dazed. Her heart raced, but for different reasons now. Watching them together stirred a mixture of nostalgic happiness and a sharp pang of fear. As she joined them, Alice zipped up the slide and announced her victory. "I'm the fastest." "Not for long," Zach challenged, playfully nudging Edna. "You remember how competitive I could be?" Edna chuckled despite herself, remembering how they used to engage in silly competitions. It felt like a bridge, a way to reconnect, but would it hold? "Okay, let us see how high I can go." she called, climbing the steps in determination. She reached the top, the slight breeze cooling her flushed cheeks as she sat, overlooking the party. The fun beneath her offered a sense of lightness, a momentary escape from the heaviness of her past. Zach looked up at her, and their eyes met again. There was a glint of hope in his, but also a pressing need for understanding. She felt it pulling her, inching closer to those words they had left unspoken. Edna, he started again, more carefully this time, I don't want to rush you. I just wish we could have a chance to talk about everything. Everything, she echoed, the weight of that single word commanding a pause. What could be on the table? Old wounds, regrets, dreams unfulfilled. Just give me a chance to show you, he continued, the sincerity unwavering. We can be a family again. We can rebuild. Please don't shut me out. Her heart trembled at the thought. What would it mean to open the door? To let him back in? Can we talk after the party? Edna asked, her voice quieter than she intended. Clarity blended with trepidation. Of course, he replied, an air of relief washing over him. As Alice scampered down from the slide and beckoned them to join in on the merry chaos, Edna felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Yet it was unclear if this relief was a true turning point, or just the calm before an inevitable storm. There was so much to work through, so much to uncover. Did they even know how to start? Suddenly, a crack of thunder rolled over the park, a reminder of the brewing storm that loomed in the distance. Edna's heart began to race again. As much as the day held promise, the clouds felt heavy with uncertainty. Could they embrace the sunlight, even amidst the drops of rain yet to come? Her hands tightened around the swing chains, and she braced herself for the conversation ahead. What awaited her could tip the balance toward hope or plunge her back into despair. And in that moment, as the storm approached, she knew one thing. Confronting the past felt both terrifying and necessary. What secrets lay in their shared history, and would the truth bring them closer or tear them apart even more? Edna felt her heart thrumming against her chest as the laughter of children echoed around her. Alice tugged at her hand, drawing her back into the lively scene with carefree energy. The party, with its bright balloons and joyous chatter, felt almost surreal against the brewing storm. But in Edna's mind, the storm was not just external. The real tempest was brewing within. Come on, Mom. Slide down with us. Alice's bright voice rang out, forcing Edna to shake off those heavy thoughts for the moment. With a reluctant smile, Edna followed Alice and Zach to the base of the slide. She watched as they took turns racing down, shrieks of joy breaking through the ominous rumble of thunder. There was a sweetness to it, as if time itself had built a fragile glass bridge between them. Zach caught her eye, still glistening with genuine joy from his time with Alice. He looked different now, lighter somehow. The memories of their past felt like shadows stretching behind them. But here in the laughter of the park, those shadows began to recede just a little. I bet you can't beat me, Zach shouted to Alice, feigning a grimace as he crouched before the slide, ready to go down. Edna felt warmth swell inside her as she cheered for her daughter. Watching them was a reprieve, a reminder of what once had been, and perhaps could still be. But just as quickly, a thought tinged with fear flickered across her mind. What if this was just an illusion? Alice, she called suddenly, shaking off the doubt. Let us show him how it's done. Alice, bouncing with enthusiasm, raced back to her, almost vibrating with excitement. They climbed to the top together, a moment of camaraderie, and as they tossed themselves down the slide, laughter erupted all around them. The wind whipped their hair, and for that brief moment Edna felt free, as if she could float above all her worries, but landing at the bottom brought her back to reality. The laughter faded slightly, returning her to the muted backdrop of the gathering. When she turned, Zach was watching her with a smile that felt like an anchor amidst the confusion inside her mind. See, you never lost it, he shouted, pride shining in his eyes. Yeah, well, we didn't have this guy slowing us down, she retorted playfully, jabbing her thumb back at Alice, who was busy spinning in delight. The warmth that surged between them caught Edna off guard. The connection felt so real, yet so fragile, balancing between hope and fear. Just then a strong gust of wind swept through the park, sending leaves swirling up into the air, like fragments of thoughts and memories. Oh, looks like that storm is getting closer, Zach said, glancing up at the swelling clouds. The tension crept back in. Maybe we should head to the pavilion, Edna suggested, to keep Alice safe and dry. As they crossed the grass, Edna hesitated, glancing back over her shoulder. For a heartbeat she considered turning away, escaping into the parking lot and leaving it all behind. But then she felt Alice's small hand slip into hers, warm and trusting. "I want Daddy to be with us," Alice exclaimed, her voice breaking through Edna's turmoil. Edna's breath hitched. Could she really do this? Could she truly allow Zach back into their lives without fear, without holding back? Okay, she whispered to herself. It wasn't just about her anymore. Settling under the pavilion, with laughter echoing faintly and rain beginning to pitter-patter on the metal roof, Edna turned to Zach. There was so much she wanted to say, and as she opened her mouth, the words felt like a dam breaking, raw, disordered but undeniably real. "Zach, we need to talk." Now. She was ready. But as storm clouds gathered, the question lingered in the air. Would the truth bring them closer or shatter everything again? Would she be strong enough to face it? The rain drummed against the pavilion, an rhythmic echo that seemed to reflect the storm swirling within Edna. She could feel the collective energy from those gathered around her, the chatter, the laughter, and the secret fears hiding beneath the surface. Everyone was huddled together, yet she felt so alone at that moment, carrying the weight of choices yet to be made under the fading light. Alice's eager chatter chased away a thin veil of tension, her excitement radiating. "Mom, can we make more pies tomorrow?" she asked, bouncing slightly on her heels, her eyes sparking with hope. Edna smiled, wrapped in warmth from her daughter's presence. "Of course, sweetheart. We'll make the biggest, best pies ever." Her attention shifted back to Zach, who was quietly observing them, his face a mixture of longing and uncertainty. She took a breath, steadying herself as if preparing for a dive into deep water. "Zach," she began, her voice steady yet trembling with a rush of emotions. "I appreciate you wanting to talk. I really do. But we can't just pretend like everything's fine." Zach nodded slowly, his expression sincere, cracking the walls she built around her heart. "I don't want to rush things, but I'm willing to be patient. For you, for Alice." His gaze was steady, unyielding. In that moment, Edna saw flickers of the man who had once brought her joy before the hurt had overtaken them both. Her heart fluttered dangerously, a mix of hope and apprehension. She took a deep breath, the air thick with tension. "I don't know if I can trust you again. Do you understand that?" The words slipped out, raw and unfiltered. "You hurt me, you hurt Alice. You were absent when we needed you most." Zach flinched but pressed on. "I've lost so much, Edna. I know I can't just make everything better by saying I'm sorry, but I want to try." Edna's heart clenched. The years of pain were heavy, memories flashing like lightning. Could she let him back in? "I want to believe you," she replied, feeling vulnerable, "but I'm scared. I have to protect Alice. If we take this step, it can't turn back. We can't be fragile again. Alice deserves a chance to know me, and I deserve a chance to prove that I can be different," Zach insisted. His eyes searched hers, desperate and sincere. "I will do whatever it takes to win your trust again." All this emotion swirled inside Edna, a vortex pulling her toward a decision. She could sense the storm outside brewing, but there was also a storm brewing within her. The rain drummed louder, mirroring her heart's frantic cadence. As if sensing her turmoil, Alice burst in, her excitement a stark contrast to the heaviness enveloping them. "Can we go outside once it stops raining? I want to splash in puddles." Her delight halved the weight on Edna's heart, calling her back to the joys of motherhood. "I would love to," Edna said gently, kneeling to her daughter's eye level. "But first we need to talk some more, okay?" Alice nodded, still bouncing. "Okay." The laughter faded as Edna turned back to Zach, and she felt for the first time a flicker of hope pushing against the doubt. "I want to give you a chance, but it has to be on our terms. Alice and I will set the rules." "Absolutely," he replied quickly, sincerity brightening his face. "I'm here for whatever you need." As Alice giggled to the other children, Edna felt the walls start to crack. The storm clouds settled as they moved toward clarity, a possible path out of their tangled past, and into something resembling hope. "Let us see how this goes," Edna said slowly. "One day at a time. We figure this out together." Zach's relief was palpable as he nodded, a soft smile breaking across his face. Together. And just like that, hope seemed to blossom in the space between them, fragile but persistent. The rain eased into a gentle drizzle, brightening the world outside the pavilion. No longer merely battling the shadows, Edna saw glimmers of light where she had once perceived only darkness. The voices around them filled with laughter again, but now they held the promise of healing, the promise that, with time, love might yet fill the gaps, knitting them back together. Edna straightened, feeling lighter as she looked at her daughter, at Zach, and then up at the sky where the clouds were beginning to part. Love and courage surged within her, and she felt the tide of the past finally receding. "Alice, let us go splash in the puddles," Edna called, the joy bursting forth. "Yay!" Alice squealed, racing toward the party where children were lined up at the edge of the grass. Edna followed, stepping into the chaos of laughter and excitement with Zach beside her. For the first time in years she felt as if maybe, just maybe, they could create a future worth celebrating, a future where they worked through their past together. As they joined their daughter splashing through the puddles, Edna understood one thing they would learn: not just to trust each other again, but to rebuild the family they had lost. And the first step was taken amidst the laughter and the rain. Now is your moment. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to our channel to catch the next exclusive stories that will inspire your heart. Leave a like now to help us grow. Your support means everything. Comment your reactions and feelings about this journey. Your voice matters. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. You need to show your support.